Remember me for, don't do it like that, baby. Tonight, it's gonna be alright. Tonight, it's gonna be alright. That's one thing MC Wicked Cricket did, and I like this. You know, I have to say something about him because he was very special to the community. But he didn't get his praise. People take us for granted. And after they lost him, hey man, it was a big church. It was packed. Mayor came out. Sheila Jackson Lee came out. But Cricket couldn't see anything that happened. And it was good. And it was nice to show their respect. He would have really, really loved if he could have got some respect and something special for him that he could have seen with his very own eyes and take home with his heart and say, God, thank you, Houston. We have to think about the people that had come before you and let's don't wait till the last minute and when the lights go out. Like my mom used to tell me, I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what it meant when my mom said, keep the oil in your lamp so you may have light. Because when night comes, no man can see. Don't wait till the lights go out. Ooh-wee, don't do it like that, baby. This month in Houston, keep it where you got it. We watching you, keep watching us.
Welcome, Captain Jack, honorary, legendary Captain Jack.
Hello, Miss T.
Honored to meet you.
Pleased to meet you.
Honored to get to talk to you today.
Hey, it's a pleasure.
We want to really introduce a new generation to you and let them know all of the wonderful historical things that you've done in the city on behalf of hip-hop and the entertainment industry and promotions and for DJs who might not know. Would you mind telling us a little bit how you got started in the industry?
There was a guy named Don Sams who worked at KYOK at the time. He's worked for both stations, KYOK and KYOK. It was all AM radio back then. We're talking about the 70s. 75, 76, 1977. I'm hanging around a friend of mine that I worked with at a regular day job. And he would always talk about these guys, Don Sam and Bobby OJ. He asked me a question. Why don't you come and ride with me and hang out with me at the radio station? I need to go and do my weekends. It's so lonely up there. I said, okay. While I'm up there, I'm meeting Don Sam. He's doing production. And at the time, when I met Don Sam, they were using the razor blade to splice tape. It was all reel to reel back then. So I'm taking you way back. We prehistoric. They used the tape, actual clear tape two pieces of voice together and then run it and make a commercial that's 60 seconds long for whatever they were cutting the commercial for. And I found that very interesting. They had this nightclub called the Gaslight, and it was on the north side, Kelly and Jensen Drive back then. He told me, he said, man, why don't you come ride with us? I said, okay. So I started hanging out with the guys, and on one occasion, they had a big show at the Sam Houston Coliseum with Shaka Khan. I'll never forget it. Shaka Khan and Bootsy Collins, the Bootsy Rubber Band. Don, being at the radio station, he emceed a whole lot of those shows. So he needed someone to fill in for him at the club. He said, man, I need you to fill in for me. I'll be back. I got to go MC the show. I'm not a DJ. He said, man, just play what you like. And I think you got a good ear. I don't know why, but I think you might have a good ear. And at that time, there was no mixing. You didn't have to mix records or anything. You just play a record. If it was hot, play the records. He said, play the records you've heard me play. So I did that. When he got back, the club was packed. The dance floor was packed. He walked in. He said, you told me you had never done this before. I said, my first time. And that's how I got started.
So no formal training is what you're saying, no schooling. What a testament to experience and being in the right place at the right time.
That came along after about the fourth nightclub, because there was the Gaslight, the Screaming Eagle on the south side. I have to tell you how I got the name Captain, because my first name was Sweet Jack. I got the name Captain because there was this nightclub called the Screaming Eagle had an airplane in it that you had to climb a ladder to climb up and get in the cockpit. They said, that Sweet Jack don't sound right. You got to be a captain. I became Captain Jack. So after I became Captain Jack at the Screaming Eagle, I was DJing there. And when I left and went to the Big Apple, which was the next club, which was owned by the same people, the name Captain stuck. Then I went to the Rhinestone Wrangler. When I went to the Rhinestone Wrangler, that's when radio became a part of my world and became very, very popular at this particular club, the Rhinestone Wrangler. The people that own this nightclub spent a lot of money to promote me. They made me the center of attraction because they had been through about 8 different DJs and nobody could make it happen. I already had a following that I had built up on the street. From my street walking, I made my own flyers. I go to McGregor Park and pass them out. I had my little old picture made, had my little finger up in the air and standing behind my DJ booth on this picture saying, #1 DJ in Houston. And I had a jar with jelly in it that said, jam, come jam with me. And that was my deal back then. Started picking up, flowing, and that's how I got, my following. Then after, like I said, the Rhinestone Wrangler, then the radio station took notice. After they took notice, it just got bigger and bigger from that point. I did a live broadcast from the club, 4-hour live broadcast, where they put phone lines in that would go straight to the radio station. We piped in microphones over the dance floor to get crowd noise and the whole thing. So everything I said or played came across the radio station. And that was my first deal with the radio after I did the Friday night. Then Friday night, they wanted me to do a top 10 deal on the hottest 10 songs in Houston that wasn't getting played on the radio. And so it was Captain Jack's top 10.
That's quite a testimony to guerrilla marketing and how you can start something on your own and having people follow you. I know there are a lot of promoters now who work in teams, but to have someone back in the day to start that kind of campaign for themselves and to see it work out. So you're right not to gloss over that and go straight to the single, because we understand that there was a lot of promotional work that went ahead of that, a lot of club runs and things of that nature. So that's very inspirational too for promoters who are out here still trying to do it. Right. Okay. And you were coming along right when hip hop was in its infancy in New York itself. So can you talk more about that? How you brought the industry here to Houston, how you helped hip hop flourish here?
I was very, very, very taken by the hip hop world. The New York rappers who actually started this thing big, off the top. Rappers that like Sugar Hill Gang and then come along Run DMC and them later. I started freestyling, and I was just doing my thing in the club. I never had any idea that I would be recording a record. I just was freestyling and making up rhymes, and Bobby Hustle walking in the club. Everybody know it's about to go down. Don't you hear my voice? Can't you feel this sound? Don't you know it's cool? Don't be no fool. Everybody step up. It's time to shake your butt. I'm doing this kind of thing, and the owner of the nightclub hears me doing this, and he says, and this guy's got talent. And he knows that the hip hop thing is about to take off at the same time. And he says, this is, guys, the only DJ in this city, because the man had 21 nightclubs. He had nobody in the city doing what I was doing. He said, this guy is the only one in the business that I have and that I've seen anywhere that's doing something like this. So he has his secretary call me one day, and Captain Jack, Mr. Bush wants to see you. I said, okay. You know what it's about? He just said it's important. Can you come by? I said, no problem. I go by 5411 Griggs Road to his office. I walk in. It's Mr. Bush, I'm in the building. He says, Captain, come on in. I ain't never seen this man so excited. He said, he puts on the record. Tighten up. I'm gonna tighten up. I'm gonna tighten up. Talking about Archie Bell and the Drills. Boy, I said, okay. That's one of my songs I love, you know. He said, Captain Jack, that's Archie Bell and the Drills, and you already know that. I want you to do a song, man. I want you to do a rap song. I said, okay. That's Tighten Up. Your name's Jack, right? I said, yes. I want you to do Jack It Up. He did. I want you to do Jack It Up. I said, okay. To the amazement of me, I said, you know what, this sounds real good. I can do this. So I hooked up with a guy named John Williams, Mickey Blue, and they used to have a band called the Glass Band back in the day. They had a song called Bedrock, What's the Name of Your Town? Anyway, Mickey was really talented, and him and Mr. Bush, they hooked up together, and he flew us to Memphis, Tennessee, and I got the opportunity while I was there to go to Elvis' house. What an inspiration. I went to Elvis' house. When we got ready to record, I had wrote my little rap down, but a lot of this stuff just came out the top of my head once I started hearing the track. It motivated me to be able to come up with this song, Jack It Up. So anyway, I had the opportunity to record in a legendary studio where the Bar-Kays, Confunction, Cameo, people, Al Green, Isaac Hayes recorded. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. You know, they had some good old white boys in there from Tennessee. Y'all know Tennessee whiskey? There's some Tennessee boys. Me and Johnny Boy, man, we put this thing together in one day. Knocked it out the park. And after we got through, we flew back to Houston. The record came out about 2 more weeks. We got wax. We started spinning it in the clubs, and next thing you know, we had a hit on our hand. Jack It Up took off. You know, we kind of jumped the gun a little bit on Jack It Up.
I was going to say, beforehand, there was a University of Houston single.
1983, because we did Jack It Up in 1984. 1983, the first recorded thing, but we didn't do a record. We just did a record that we recorded and ran on the radio station and changed it up every week, and that was Fire Slammer Jammer. We're talking about Clyde Drexler, Akeem Olajuwon. That's when the Cougars had the city on fire. Everybody was cougar country. It was going crazy. So when I came up with this song called Fire Slammer Jammer, and we recorded it at this station, Love 94. Every week that the Cougars would win, we'd go back in and change the song. We just beat this team. We come back and we record about what we're going to do to the next team. So everybody's looking forward to it. And the Cougars never let me down. They never let me down until we got to North Carolina State, of course.
Well, it seems like in addition to musical aspirations and being a musical genius, you're also a marketing genius to go in and keep changing that song like that.
Most definitely. And you know, it worked out well for me. Of course, it worked out well for the radio station. It became a really big deal. Even ESPN played it during some of their hookups as far as talking about the Cougars and what the Cougars were doing to other teams and stuff. So, and they said, yeah, there's a guy down there in Houston named Captain Jack and did a song about, and I got, you know, the song was so hot, I got interviewed by Channel 13, Channel 11, 26 Fox. Everybody was getting a piece of Captain Jack back then.
Well, can you talk a little bit about how you used your influence to help and shape some of the careers of some of the most prominent artists that we still know now?
We came up with a platform where they could perform in front of a lot of people. And we used that influence, and some of it was my personal influence. If a guy had a good record and I liked it, I would go to bat for him. I'm going to make sure that the record is getting played at the club. The record is hot. We're playing it at the club. So now that I know that the record is hot and it's a good record, I want to talk to the program director at the radio station, which I had a good relationship at the time. A lot of time I would go up there just to cut my commercial at the radio station or something like that, or just to do my marketing for the club. I would sneak into the music director's office and say, listen, we got a young man by the name of so-and-so. Got a hot record. Y'all show him a little love. He said, okay, Captain. And they check it out. 2 or 3 weeks down the line, They were on the air.
Well, you're being modest. These people that you're referencing, let's talk about UGK. How did you help UGK to get known?
Okay, it was a couple of people involved. I was one of them, and a good friend of mine who was on the radio by the name of Jammin' Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen was on 102 at the time when UGK come around. UGK did a song called Tell Me Something Good, and they had it on a cassette. When I heard the song, I was like, man, this is dope. Tell me something good. And they had that hook. And of course, Pimp C had that voice. I said, Jimmy, have you heard this song? Now, this is just on the cassette. I don't know. He said, well, they got a CD. I said, no, man, it's on the. He took the cassette and he took it off the cassette. And at that time, they played carts. Looked like when they used to play music, they used to use carts. These carts looked like 8 tracks. That's how they played music back then. So he recorded it off the cassette, put it on an 8-track tape deck, and then he would play it just like he did the other songs. He started playing that song on 102 on his show, and his show only. That record took off like a jet. Next thing you know, these guys get a record deal, man, with Big Time Records and, you know, and other record companies want him, and it takes off. And, you know, UGK is blowed up.
Awesome. We understand you also had a hand in one of H-Town Legends' ESG in his start of his career.
I didn't really have a big hand in ESG or H-Town rapper that took off pretty fast, had some real strong street. We always did a night with radio station could be at the club. And most of the time we have a DJ come out, he'd be a guest DJ. Sometimes the guest DJ might be the music director. They come out, they see this guy live in concert, they see the guy performing, they hear the music. They like it, the crowd reaction, place is packed. Man, we need to be playing this. We need to be playing this. And ESG was another one of those guys, man, that just bust out on the scene, you know, and took off. And then next thing you know, we got Hawk, we got Big Mo, we got Hawk's brother, Fat Pat, the guy they call Lil Kiki Southside.
Of course, yeah. Living legend.
You know, let me reverse and go back for 1 second. Because I got to go back to the Ghetto Boys.
Of course.
After I did Jack It Up, I did another song called Sexy Girls. Rap-A-Lot Records. So I hooked up with Lil J and Johnny Boy again. We flew out to California to do this particular song called Sexy Girls. Recorded that. And that was another record, my follow-up, which came out in 86. It took off. I wasn't the first guy on Rap-A-Lot, because the Ghetto Boys were the first on Rap-A-Lot. But I was the first guy on Rap-A-Lot that got airplay on the radio in Houston, which opened the door for the Ghetto Boys. The Ghetto Boys had a song called Car Freaks that they were trying to get played. Couldn't get no love. But I got my record played because I had a good relationship with the program director named Ron Atkins at the time. So after I started getting my record played, I went back to him and I said, can we get Car Freaks on? He started playing Car Freaks. And that was the emergence of the Ghetto Boys, which wasn't now on that particular Ghetto Boys, there was no Scarface. There was no Bushwick Bill. There was no Willie D. When they came along, they were the second version of Ghetto Boys.
Wow.
Yeah, the first version was Box, Sir Rap-A-Lot, and Ready Red. They the ones that did Car Freaks. Then when the emergence of Scarface and Willie D and Bushwick Bill, they came out with a record called I'm Playing Tricks on You. I was on the north side, and before I heard the rap of that record, Lil J brought me a instrumental of the record. Said, Jack, play this and see what kind of feedback we get. So I put it on, and I said, oh man, that's tight. That's tight. He said, okay, when I bring it back, I'll have the rap on it. So when he came back, he had the lyrics. And I said, oh man, it's a smash. Now, even though I knew it was a smash. We were playing it, and it was hot. It still took a little time before the radio station in Houston would jump on it. They still had go out to Chicago, and they went to Louisiana, and they went to other surrounding areas, and was getting love like that. And finally, the flow filtered back in to Houston, and when it did, Mind Playing Tricks went #1 nationwide.
Wow. Now that is a testament to you truly being a cornerstone in the hip hop industry in Houston. Can you discuss a little bit more about when you would bring the East Coast artists here? Because I know hip hop then was just a baby, and not a lot of people even understood really what the music was about. So can you talk a little bit about that, about bringing actual artists from the East Coast here, those big names?
Yes. First big name we brought to town was Salt and Pepper. The reason why I think about Salt and Pepper as much as I do is because the history of what happened that night was just unbelievable. Salt and Pepper was hot and didn't know how hot they were. We got Salt and Pepper to come and do a show from New York for $2,000. Yes. That's all they cost.
Wow.
$2,000. And we got them, and they came to Houston. We promoted the heck out of them on the radio and in the street. Thunderdome, 478 Parker Road, which was also the same address for Chocolate Town, Platinum City, and everything else, North Side. You know, that club's been a lot, but Thunderdome was the spot. We brought them there. They packed the place out, probably about 2,000 people that night. We had another 800 people outside that couldn't get in.
Wow.
And dig this. The walls were literally sweating. The stage was slippery from just moisture. Look, and we had a pretty good air conditioning system, man. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it didn't matter because there was so many people. So the reason why I want to speak on that is because the crowd tore the front door hinges off before we could get control of the crowd again.
Ooh, baby, baby.
Yeah, ooh, baby, baby, push it. And so the fire marshal came, and he said, you're going to have to count everybody out and then let them back in, one by one. So my partner, Big Steve, he talked to the fire marshal. He said, I don't think you want to do that with this many people outside that are still trying to get in. If you do that, we're going to have a riot. Now, I'll give you the microphone if you want to make that announcement. So the fire marshal thought about it, and he said, I tell you what, shut the doors down. Don't let nobody else in. I don't care if you let people out. And we're just going to control this thing and tell everybody else that's outside they need to leave. And that's what ended up happening. And guess what? Nobody got hurt that night.
Right.
That was the best part of all. No one got hurt.
Right.
You know, and you like those kind of endings.
Absolutely.
You know, because I could tell you a whole lot of bad endings, but I don't want to talk about them.
Right. With all of your years of experience.
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about Destiny's Child and the role you played?
Destiny's Child, talented sisters. Their father really, really put a lot of work in behind those girls. A lot of work. By us having one of the biggest and brightest nightclubs in the city, he would call me every night and then whenever I had a good show and ask me, could the girls open up for the show? I did a show with Eugene Wild, which was a really good R&B show. I let him open up for that. That's when I saw the talent for the very first time. One of the biggest shows, the biggest show that we had, was when we brought West Side Connection, Ice Cube, Mac 10, WC. They were on tour, and we had booked them. Matthew called me, and he said, man, I need one more favor. I said, okay. He said, man, the record label's coming down to see the girls. Can they open up for West Side Connection? I said, come on. They came, the record label came down, the girls performed, they turned it out.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
Off the hook. One of their best shows. Of course, they got signed. It was just a historical night all the way around the table. West Side Connection did their thing, Ice Cube, and that was great. Another one of those good nights. And one of the things that I respected about Matthew, he kept his word. He said, man, we're going to look out. So he came back, and the girls, once they got signed, they started getting radio played like crazy. He came back and gave me a promo show for free.
Wow.
Yeah. just to show love. And I was the only nightclub that he did that for. And that was off the hook again by themselves. This time with no West Side connection, them girls packed that place out.
Wow.
And I said, you'll never see them in a club again.
Right.
It's over.
Right.
Unless they visited.
With all that you've done in this industry and all of the hats and all of the roles that you've played, what advice would you give up and coming DJs, promoters, artists in the city right now today?
The advice would be sell yourself. Put a lot of time in what you're doing. Don't take it just as a hobby. Take it as a career. Be very serious about what you're doing. I had to get very, very serious with myself. So, okay, do you want to work a 9 to 5 all your life? And I said, no. I'm talking to myself. And I decided that I wanted to put an all-out effort to be the best disc jockey in this city, especially at that time. And I wanted to stand out from the rest. And so what do I have to do? So what I did, I went around and I visited nightclubs. I watched other DJs. I learned a few things from this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. But I also peep game on things they wasn't doing that I could install in my own. Things that I would do that nobody else was doing. At the time of the disco era, there was Disco 54 in New York City, which was something we heard about, and it was big. And there was this white DJ up there in New York. Don't remember his name right now, but I remember this about him. He's DJing at a nightclub, making $100,000 a year in 1978. And I'm like, $100,000 a year being a DJ? Unheard of. In a club? No, it wasn't happening, not in H-Town.
Right.
It wasn't happening. No, matter of fact, if you made 30 or 20, right, you were very, very lucky. So I said, what can I do to up my game to get to this plateau? That's when I got real serious. So saved up my chips from my day job. Then finally cut my day job and took a gamble on myself and quit that job. And so in the daytime, I would go to the office and get the keys to the Big Apple. And there was nobody in the club. And I'd go inside the club and I'd just jam like it's packed. I'd go with an invisible audience. And then I did crazy stuff like hang upside down from the rafters. Do stupid dances and stuff, solo type stuff. And then worked on my mix game and just upped my game and started getting Houston. I'm a boy from Louisiana, number one. I'm in Houston, Texas. So what do? I up my game. I surround myself with guys from out of town, from New York and from LA, and see how they do it. And I'm learning new techniques. So I take these techniques and I'm doing these techniques before anybody else is doing them that's from Houston.
Right.
All of a sudden, I'm a draw card. He's different. He's exciting. He's crazy.
Right.
You feel me? So all of that in one is what it took to make the gumbo that I became. And once it started working for me, I just used it to my advantage. And like I say, promote. And we didn't have phones, cell phones. What? We didn't have no cell phones. We couldn't do it like that. So everything had to be leg. I went from club to club. I passed out flyers, pamphlets. I made myself appearing everywhere. They saw this face, showing that face. Then it got so ridiculous until when I walked in the club, it was like, Captain Jack just walked in. And I started getting the respect from DJs. And another way I won that respect from DJs, because there was a lot of jealousy. But I still won that respect from other DJs. When they come and see me, I recognize them. Right. And that recognition resonated with them like, oh man, that dude's all right. Mm-hmm. So they showed me the love back. And it helped build a relationship. And you got to build relationships in this game. If you in the music business, you got to build a relationship. You can't do it all from here. You got to build a relationship with people. regardless. And a lot of them have got, they feel like they can do this, and they only can get so far with that. But the whole thing is that this day and time, there are people making buzzes by the internet, and they're able to reach people that were able to tap where they wouldn't be able to tap. It used to be a time you had to get in your car and drive to Louisiana and go to Lake Charles and go to Baton Rouge and New Orleans and Shreveport and Dallas and San Antonio, bring your music, a lot of gas. But it was worth it because it was an on and touch relationship. Now it's all about, what's your email? What's your email? The music is sent, even to the radio station. They used to have it every Tuesday. You could go up there. It was called Music Day. If you had new music, you brought your music in, Miss T. You had a meeting with the program director or music director. They listen to your music. If they like it, they say, okay, we're going to put it on, pump it or dump it, rush it or flush it, give it a shot. Now, you got to get a buzz on the internet, or you got to have a bunch of money behind a corporate powerhouse that can automatically deal with the corporate people and just bust your music out. And people, just like once you got the reputation like Cardi B got a new jam come out. Oh, they can't wait to get their hands on it. Even if it sounds crappy. You feel me? But you got the reputation now. Just to wrap it up on that tip, grind hard in every direction that you can think of. And if you don't know how to grind, get with somebody that does.
I like the way you put it, the gumbo. So if someone has a gumbo now, like you had, of belief in themselves and ingenuity and tenacity, I know there's a big, important discussion going on in the city of Houston right now. A lot of what we consider new wave artists are having a particular problem with what they consider to be OG artists and the level of help that they're getting and the level of exposure that these artists, and like you said, the platform, they feel like there's really no platform that's being laid out for them. So what is your take on that? How do you feel about the artists coming up? Do you feel like it's a responsibility for the OGs to help and give a helping hand, or do you feel like there's enough out there for them to get it on their own?
Any new artists out there that's trying to make it happen for themselves and they got something good, it's a good thing to link up with the OGs that's already made it. And if you can connect with them, form a relationship with them where they can kind of guide you in any shape, form, do it. I would tell anybody that's trying to make it in the music business, you don't ever want to go to an artist. Simply because artists are trying to find their own next hit. And in some cases, there's been situations where a new guy had a nice record. He went to an artist. The artist has been helping him out. Next thing you know, he done stole that boy's music. You feel me? Because there's only so much room when we talk about getting your music played on a radio or either on a YouTube or whatever the case may be. You got 24 hours in a day, and in a span of an hour, you're going to hear the top 10 songs. The next hour, you're going to hear the top 10 songs again, and maybe another song. For a whole day, top 40 songs. For you to get into that top 40, or even that top 100, and to climb, somebody got to come down the ladder. Right. So you got to be coming strong, pushing. But always remember, somebody's cooling off while you heating up. So you got to keep the heat on so that you can move in that slot, moving up the ladder until you get to that peak, get that top 10 and that top 5 where you want to be. You got to keep grinding and grinding. Don't never be content. And that's the only way you can make it.
Wow. That's $1 million worth of free game for anybody who chooses to listen and apply. So what is Captain Jack up to now? What's the future for Captain Jack?
Future for Captain Jack. I've been promoting Grown and Sexy nightclubs lately. And I'm still using my voice for voiceovers, that type of thing. One of the things that I got in mind to be doing here in the near future is guiding the new artists that if they got substance, I'm not with the hardcore stuff, the killer negative, anything that talks about my race, that demeans my race, like the N-word, takes us up to a level back, because our predecessors, they like to hear us talk about each other, how we're going to hurt each other. And it's been enough of that type of stuff. So I'm more with the good feel, good time, something that's going to uplift our race.
Well, any artist that you choose to invest your time or your energy in, I would consider them a very lucky and blessed audience. I want to thank you for sitting and taking the time to speak to me today. Taurus, on behalf of Expand Entertainment.
The incredible Mr. Bobby Hustle, of course, one of my little partners that's really, really a super grounder in the city. I call him Captain Jack Jr., the one and only Mr. Williams, putting it down, Will, Mr. Shepard, and some more people. So, but, you know, we're honored that someone would even think of me that way, you know, because one of the things that, you know, that made me feel real good about the whole deal, no matter how it turns out, just the thought of it is someone trying to honor me before the good Lord says, okay, son, come on. You know, because, you know, a while back we lost MC Wicked Cricket. And he was a real good friend of mine, and plus a very super MC, and had so much talent. And he did a lot for the young guys as far as promoting their music and helping them with their music, and always giving them a good word. That's one thing MC Wicked Cricket did, and I like to, you know, I have to say something about him, because he was very special to the community, and but he didn't get his praise because no one thought about it until they lost. People take us for granted. They take us for granted, and so they took cricket for granted. And after they lost him, hey man, it was a big church. It was packed. Mayor came out. Sheila Jackson Lee came out. But cricket couldn't see anything that happened. And it was good. And it was nice to show their respect. I knew him really, really good. He talked to me all the time. He would have really, really loved if he could have got some respect and something special for him that he could have seen with his very own eyes and take home with his heart and say, God, thank you, Houston. We have to think about the people that had come before you, and let's don't wait till the last minute and when the lights go out. Like my mom used to tell me, I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what it meant, Shep. I didn't know what it meant when my mom said, keep the oil in your lamp so you may have light. Because when night comes, no man can see. Don't wait till the lights go out.
Wow.
Also, one of my super slogans that everybody remember me back from the days of the Big Apple and Rhinestone Wrangler, the Screaming Eagle, Club Cartoons, Baby Grand, Bone Shakers, all the way to Thunderdome, Rhinestone on the North Side, Flashes. Everybody remember me for, don't do it like that, baby. Tonight, it's gonna be all right. Tonight, it's gonna be all right. So that slogan was also something that the people at the Rhinestone did, Bobby. And I say Bobby, people can't see him, but Bobby know I'm talking to him, because that's my partner, is that they bought bumper stickers that said, Captain Jack bumper stickers. Because back then, the bumper sticker thing was big back in the 80s and 70s and 80s. People put bumper stickers on cars because the radio stations had Love 94 bumper stickers, Magic 102 bumper stickers. That was a way of the little small billboard flying around on the car, and was free, and it got them promotions. So I was the first DJ, period, radio or nightclub, that had his own bumper stickers all over the city. I had the Jack It Up stickers for the song. I had the Don't Do It Like That baby stickers, and the Captain Jack stickers, plus the t-shirts the hoodies, the whole 9 yards. So all that was promotion. That all just made it bigger and bigger. Oh, wait a minute. I almost forgot before I go. I had my own TV show on NBC Channel 2.
Well, let's talk about it.
Video Magic was the show. It was a Soul Train type show. But we did something different that Soul Train didn't do. We do the scene in a club. We had dancing. And then on the show, we'd interview entertainers. Believe it or not, we got a chance to interview little bitty, big time Janet Jackson.
Wow.
Yes, we had Janet Jackson on the show. She was just a little girl breaking out from Good Times. Good Times. Video Magic was a hot show. I was on the air for 3 years with that show. It came on midnight every Saturday night. This was the craziest thing in the world, Bobby. Shep, let me tell you something. It was one thing to be on the radio. Television, being plastered on TV every weekend, and millions of people seeing you, from Houston to all the surrounding areas wherever Channel 2 covered. I could not literally leave my house or go in my house without people coming by. And don't go to a grocery store with that. I know what it feels like when you talk about stars having to have bodyguards and all that with you. Now, that part of the whole life was kind of scary for me, I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, it was a little scary.
It seems like you've reached a level of attainment in all sorts of industries that a lot of young men and women are trying to get to. We want to honor you. It's a pleasure and an absolute honor to sit and be able to talk to you and just hear a little taste of what you've had, your experiences in this city and in this industry. And I know that it's going to be a glorious night at the Hustle Hard Awards, Sunday the 17th.
Yes.
Are you excited?
Very excited. Expand Entertainment going to be in the house. It's going down. So we inviting everybody to come out. Hey, and just enjoy yourself. It's going to be some entertainment. We got a full kitchen. Going to have all kind of food, you name it. Japanese food, Chinese food. We got plenty soul food. The gumbo going to be in the house. Y'all got to be there. 9173 Richmond Avenue, the Ava Center, which also used to be my spot. Candy shop at Max's, for those of you that, I know where that is. Yeah, so that's where we're going to be.
More than the great food, though, we're going to give you your flowers. We're going to honor you. We're going to love on you. And we're going to show you that we understand what you've been to this city and who you still are in this city. And I just want to say again, it's a pleasure to sit down and talk to you. And thank you very, very much for your time
Lady
today.
T, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yo, what up? It's AJ Johnson. You're watching the Texas Club. Check it out every week, all right? Peace. Well, they said to him, why don't you help us? You're supposed to be this OG. Why don't you help us get on? He said, ain't nobody help me on. I did it all myself. I push stuff out. He said, y'all can go ahead out. Now, Slim was halfway right because Instagram and internet has made these artists lazy.
Right.
So I want you to speak on how artists from back in the day had to really grind. You had to really out the trunk. And now, it's new wave. Everything is social media and whatnot. Right. But the twist I think that we got is you actually can back up what you're saying. You have helped, and maybe that would encourage other artists and individuals to help the up and coming.
Well, and it goes to the point that we gave them a platform that they didn't have. Right. You did some mixtapes and all that kind of stuff, and you took care of the boys in your neighborhood. Right. But the platform for you to get in front of 1,000 people and do something from people from all over the city, see you on the north and the east and the west, and say, oh man, that dude good. I didn't know that dude was that good. Because only people know, you can be good as hell, but what good does it do Michael Jackson to come to town and nobody know he here? Right. So it's all about exposure.
Right, you got one of the platforms that can do
it. You could be, So when you give people a platform to expose the talent. And I know that's what you're talking about.
Right.
We had a platform to get people from Houston and for people to come in massive amounts of numbers without having to go to the summit or go to the Toyota Center.
Right. We could control it. Yeah.
Yes, and we could control it.
Yes.
And so it was a lot of power, and then it was also a base that if you were good enough and hadn't got your record on the radio yet, then you got street power.
Right.
And once you get enough street power, you get radio power.
Right.
Because every time you go to a radio station, even now they can use the internet to get the buzz. Back then you didn't have internet to get the buzz.
Right.
You had to get the buzz, straight buzz. And if you didn't get it from the street straight buzz, you didn't have it. So they don't do it no more, they don't have to. What was it called? Rush it or flush it. Pump it or dump it.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? So in order for you to get pumped, you had to have some street power out there. So when people made the phone call up there and said, pump that, man. And you if you got 70%, the radio station considered playing your music. If you got 100%, you own.
Yeah.
Without having to do anything, without me talking to make it happen.
Right. Also ask him